So I guess for the morning, Andre Japamesa is a legal practitioner, but also a member of parliament for Sekondi. He's here. This will be our last AM talk for the year. And thanks for joining me.
Always a pleasure to be here. Good morning.
Yeah. And he will be joined by Alhassan Suhini, member of parliament for Tamale North. And we'll look at some critical issues. But I have to say, thanks for the support throughout the year. How would you describe the year? I mean, in terms of governance and the way you have to shuffle through work, parliament, the constituency, and all that, and all the excessive pressures.
Well, before I go there, it's appropriate I say good morning to our cherished viewers this morning, particularly my constituents in Sekondi, and to use this opportunity to wish all of them a Merry Christmas and a prosperous 2019. Obviously, I'll have to go back home over the Christmas period to spend it with them. So when we rise, hopefully tomorrow, I'll prepare and they'll see me in the constituency. You can see also that I'm in black on a Friday.
You have a funeral?
The Maverick Ambassador James Agro-Lims goes home today. He served this country well as a diplomat, as a civil and public servant. Thankfully, he lived a full life. And so I'm going to join his family to celebrate him and to thank God for gifting him to his family and to Ghana. I think it's important that we celebrate people who have dedicated themselves to the service of this country. And even though, like I said, he lived a full life, death always is a painful termination point in everybody's life. So I wish to extend my sincere condolences to his family and to ask them to be consoled, knowing that he's going to a better place. 2018, very, very exciting year. Of course, you asked in terms of governance. I think we have seen a government that, headed by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, that has worked so hard, beginning from the time that he took office as president of this country and continuing to this year to, as it were, uplift us from the economic doldrums that we found ourselves in at the time that this government came to power. Of course, the conversation has been varied, but with allegations of hardship and all that. But clearly, the facts are there for all to see. The numbers clearly tell. If you do a comparative analysis of where we're coming from and where we've gotten today, cannot be gainsaid that 2018 has been a good one. We are not out of the woods yet. And I'm hopeful that 2019 would also lead to a consolidation of the gains that have been made, an opportunity to grow from the solid foundation that this government has been able to lay in the past year. Of course, the various policies and programs that the government promised the people of Ghana has commenced with the rollout of several programs and policies. I'm expectant that 2019 will see additional rollout of some other programs, some impetus injected in the ones that have already commenced, so that we can all build a country that is beneficial for ourselves and generations yet to come. Personal front, it's been a challenging one. It's been a tough year. The task of being an MP,
having to shuffle,
is a really, really, really tough one, you know. And so managing constituent expectation, you know, and all that. But I guess that by the grace of God, we've come this far, and we only ask for strength, grace and wisdom to enable us further execute a mandate that we've been entrusted with. So yes, 2018 by and large, I would assess it as having been good. If not for anything, we still have life, and we must be thankful for little mercies that God himself in his infinite wisdom has bestowed upon us.
Well, you witnessed the president's encounter with the press.
Absolutely.
And the backlash that it seemed to have been met with, especially his comments about the criticism against his government in relation to what the issues would be coming from civil society, if it's from also the media. You know, the president trying to make some conclusive statement to mean that they're just opposition comments, comments emanating from an opposition who just want to grab power. But it looks as if the president doesn't seem to be in touch with what's happening on the ground.
I don't think so at all. On the contrary, I think the president is very much aware of what is on the ground. I don't know, and I suspect, because unfortunately, one of our colleagues has posted a tape of the president's response on the civil society organizations bit. And yesterday, I read a post on Facebook attributed to Prof. Jampo, in which he quoted some post that Mr. Franklin Kujo had posted, suggesting that the president was insulting. I listened to the press encounter, and I didn't find the president's response insulting at all. I mean, if you can replay that portion, you'll clearly see that president has been receptive of criticism, particularly from civil society, to the extent that he's had an open, frank conversation with them on at least one occasion, and indicated quite clearly that that engagement was going to continue. Members of the civil society organizations themselves, after the engagement, came out to clearly tell all of us that it was a positive engagement. The president was receptive to all the issues that they raised and had promised that he was going to...
So is it not surprising that the president will come up with some of these responses?
So that's what I'm saying, that there are two issues, the civil society one and obviously the response to the NDC, which I support entirely. Because if you look at the pattern of the
that everything coming from the opposition is bad.
Not necessarily, no.
It's it's mischief or unwarranted criticism.
Not necessarily, but on the balance of the positives, if you like, and that of the negatives. Clearly, the naysaying, the creating, distorting facts are overwhelming. And so it was appropriate that the president assures the people of Ghana that, look, we are on course, won't be distracted. Yes, civil society comments would necessarily be taken on board, but our friends on the other side ought to be known for who they really are.
All right, so saying this, let's just also do a recap. And of course, when we come out, we'll get some response from Alhassan Suhuyini. He's a member of parliament for Tamale North.
This government has paid up the 1.2 billion arrears we inherited and brought the operations of the NHIS back to life. We're also in the process of launching the world's largest and most advanced medical drone delivery network. The 4 distribution centers from where the drones will be operating will stock 148 life-saving and essential medical supplies, and not only blood. The drone delivery service will save lives, decrease wastage in the system, guarantee health access for more than 14 million people nationwide, and employ over 200 Ghanaians. This program is not going to be run on the public budget. Corporate social responsibility contributors from private sectors players will pay for the service. I prefer drones flying to deliver essential medicines to our people than an investment in Guinea Fowls that allegedly fly off to Burkina Faso without any trace. As a result of our policies, the fundamentals of our economy are in the right place. The foundation has been laid for the rapid growth and development we expect next year and succeeding years. The 2019 budget focuses on 6 strategic pillars: entrepreneurship, infrastructure, industrialization, social intervention, agricultural modernization, and improving efficiency in revenue mobilization. Available data up to the end of September 2018 indicates that Ghana's economic health is in good shape. Headline and core inflation generally trended downwards in 2018. Headline inflation dropped to 9.3% in November 2018, down from the 11.8% in December 2017. In real terms, growth of credit to the private sector showed a strong recovery, registering a growth of 6.8% in September 2018.
Well, following that, the reactions had not been good, and of course, the media men decided to time the president within the period that he spoke. They said he spoke for 40 minutes and just a little seconds thereafter. But please, your own reactions to all the related issues, especially the criticism coming from civil society and you, the opposition, and whether also they're coming from the media, whether they are right in the first place or misplaced.
Well, thank you very much, Roland. Good morning, and let me take this advantage to wish the crew here a Merry Christmas, and our listeners also a very, very Merry Christmas, even though it has been confessed to by even insiders that it's not going to be an exciting Christmas because, many people who even have investments cannot access those investments due to the shambolic performance of the banking and insurance sector as a result of a very reckless government policy. Nonetheless, we give God the glory that we have life, and we hope we will make do with whatever situation that we find ourselves in. But let's remember to stay safe. Now, Roland, I think that the president got me scared. I spent time to listen to him. And in fact, after his presentation, I got depressed. I felt scared for Ghana. You see, in every situation, when things don't seem to be going well, you expect the leader, when he speaks, to at least give you the impression that he understands what is going on and he's clear in his mind about where he's taking you and how he's going to ensure that at the end of the day, your doubts are cleared. I mean, as a citizen, and he urged us to be citizens and not spectators, even though he has become uncomfortable that we are, I think I deserve to be assured by my president that he understands the situation that we are in and he's clear about how to deal with that situation, even if I don't agree with the plan that he wants to use. But he should give me that assurance that maybe I don't understand. I didn't get that from the president. And so I felt scared for this country that we have a president who was that uninformed about practically the most basic things that you could think of.
Can you mention some instances in which
the Ghana medical store situation is such a threatening
but the
issue.
president is on the Minister of
Roland,
Health, for God's
it's
sake.
such a threatening issue to health delivery in this country.
That's why he
And
has a
for
Minister
the
of
president to demonstrate that level of, nonchalance towards the resolution of that matter. In fact, he doesn't even know about it. So it tells me that he doesn't even have a plan moving forward. And that's what's scary, Roland. That's what is scary. You see,
He has a Minister of Health. Why should he be abreast with everything that happens?
Please. He is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. He doesn't have to know all the nitty-gritties. But like I was telling you earlier, he needs to assure me that he understands the challenge and he has a plan, even if he doesn't have to implement or carry through the nitty-gritties of it. But he should assure me that he understands, even if I don't agree with his plan. That was missing. He was simply uninformed. He was disorganized. And I think the worst part of it was the, should I say, the rambunctious nature. I mean, he was simply arrogant about the level of ignorance that he was displaying. And that for me was scary. I mean, it is not about Man United or Chelsea where after the game you will... This is about lives, Roland. This is about the future of a country. And listening to him, I remembered all the cautions before he became president from people who were closest to him. I remembered the Kofi Kumsons. I remembered the WikiLeaks.
That one.
About the character and personality and how he does things and how unsafe these people thought Ghana would be in his hands. I remembered all of those things. And apart from that level of, performance, which everyone has agreed was poor, some of the things that he even sought to address, he got wrong. Or he was less than honest. For example, Roland, he talks about a stable micro environment. Micro environment.
Micro.
Yes. And he talks about the GDPs, he talks about the interest rates, and all of that. And first of all, it has to be understood that all the things that are boasted about are fruits of the hard work of the previous government. And I am not saying it. It is the international community which in 2016 haven't seen the kind of seeds that were sown, predicted that the GDP will grow at about 8% in 2017, 2018. I'm not saying it. But if he doesn't even have the candor to give credit for those who did the hard work, even though he maintains
you are saying that the Akufo-Addo-led government should not be credited for...
I'm not saying that's what let me finish. I'm saying even though he maintains it, even though he maintains it, that's where he gets credit. Even though he maintains it. Look, inflation was pointing downwards when he took over. It's good he's maintained it. GDP, like I've said, was predicted to grow at about 8 to 9% because of the investments in the oil sector by the previous government.
We haven't had the budget deficit.
Roland, beyond that, we all remember what the Akufo-Addo Bawumia opposition said about these indicators. We all remember. That's why I said less than honest. Even the things he tried to address. We all remember Dr. Bawumia ridiculed inflation, single-digit inflation, and said you should try to give your wife a single-digit, inflation chop money and see. And that those indicators were meaningless if it did not impact on the lives of the people.
Well, the president said people were having money in their pockets because there's free SHS. He made those allusions.
Again, when we spoke about these micro indicators then, the president also said it was meaningless if it did not lead to, the purchasing power of the people improving. But in fact, Dr. Bawumia said that we don't have single-digit increases in prices at the market, and so we should stop boasting. So what is, boastful about it today? Except if you are as dishonest as the president came across.
Because people
talk about infrastructure. The president lamented the infrastructure situation. Yes, it is lamentable, but the fact remains that the previous government did more in infrastructure than he has done, given the level of resources that each have gotten. The previous administration did much more. And the records are there to show. Apart from the physical, visible infrastructure that you can see, the investment in capital expenditure was about 4% over. The NPP government, under President Akufo-Addo, is unable to continue or to utilize some of the finished, infrastructure like hospitals and others, but have also even reduced the investment to less than 2%. And I can go on, but I can see you, wrapping me up. But I think that honestly, in a jest, Roland, I think that our country is in trouble.
Why?
We need God's intervention. Our president is completely out of touch.
Yeah. Okay.
He asked us to try him, and it's unfortunate the people of Ghana believed him, and this is the outcome of the trial. At least he should show us that he knows the situation we are in and he has a plan to take us out, even if we don't agree with the plan.
And Mr. Mensah, one of the raging issues for which he addressed actually, with a question that was coming from Daniel Todapatem of the Daily Graphic on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs' earlier intended decision to purchase a chancery in Norway. It's still a big controversy around today in Parliament. And just even yesterday, we had the chairman of the committee disagreeing with the ranking of the committee about the public information or information that had been made public by the ranking. And he says it smacks of a lack of confidentiality and non-cooperativeness of the ranking, etc. But it seems to be a very big issue. And the president's pronouncement on it, that made a prayer series, also has elicited some criticism that he seemed to have ended a matter for which there are more questions than answers.
I don't think there's any issue there at all. But before I deal with that Oslo matter, it's important that we put things in proper perspective. This Central Medical Stores issue, when did it happen?
I think in 2015.
Who was in government?
The NDC.
Who contaminated the evidence at the site?
I don't know.
They graded the entire evidence, and the minister's response was categorical.
Unbelievable.
What is unbelievable about this? You sat in government when the incident happened. You did zilch about seeking to prosecute the people. And you turn around 3 years down the line to blame someone for not doing enough about the Central Medical Stores situation.
For not even knowing
and you call somebody dishonest.
For not even knowing is an issue that needs to be dealt with.
Did you know it was an issue during your era?
Yes, we investigated.
What did you do about it? And
we investigated.
And did what?
And compiled a report.
And did what?
And then we lost power.
You see?
And you have the power.
Let's be honest.
So continue.
Let's be honest about with ourselves. What are the issues? And what was the minister's response?
The minister responded. We know what the minister said.
You understand? So
I think he's raising issues with the way the president was at sea.
Of course, I think the president
came out.
That's the best expression that one could have used.
At least there's no animal use, so at least I don't
came out extremely honest. And I do not expect him to be superhuman, to be on daily basis aware of all the issues.
Yeah, my position was he's a president. He has people he's appointed.
He came to say, oh, well, I'm not, too conversant about the status of the Central Medical Stores situation. Such a matter, and you didn't resolve it from the date that it occurred until you left office.
And you're buying drones. Such a matter of importance to health delivery.
Look, you can ridicule.
This is not
and create political issues out of everything. It's fine.
Precious God.
You think you're making a meal out of nothing?
Completely. Look, this drone matter. What is it? An efficient.
Because the president made a remark that
Roland, it's important,
he would
please.
rather implement
I'm not interested in the Akonfem issue. No. Listen,
the criticism is that the president made
because if you situate it in context, the people who are criticizing the introduction of technology that enables us to transport emergency and critical medicine over longer periods within a shorter time, okay, who are criticizing it are the people who invested your money in Guinea Fowl that was alleged to have flown to Burkina Faso and they didn't come back.
And that's what the president
What is absolutely, and he was absolutely right. What is the drone? Look, I always say, we who are in the media, and because I've been working with you over this period, I think it would be okay to associate myself with your profession. Let's interrogate the issues properly, dispassionately, and not let's leave politicians to play chaskele with our minds. What is a drone? It's a transportation mechanism. That's it. So if government is buying a drone to complement already, and it's not a substitute for distribution of medicine.
No, but we're paying for the service because
whatever
at the end of
it is,
why
do we have to criticize this? Because it will save lives. And you say what? It's not good.
Mr. Mensah, are you
when
saying
you are going to London, walk?
Are you saying?
Okay.
Are you saying that the foundation or the foundational argument for which the concerns have been raised, that we need to fix first things first before we go?
Fix what first before you transport medicine when it is needed in an emergency?
Well,
fix what first?
For example, and I've heard many astute people, medical people who have great experience in the sector say for example, why don't you fix or even install storage facilities? Make sure you have a stockpile of the medicines that.
But is that not the centers that are going to be set up going to? And then you even, is that not what the centers are going to do?
And then you even have facilities that will even transport to places where you can access.
But Roland,
because now even places that we can access,
Roland, we don't even have
transportation means.
And as far as I'm concerned, they are not mutually exclusive. But I'm saying,
discussing the drones now?
We are discussing everything.
I thought you introduced a particular topic.
I introduced Norway, yes.
Norway, but it's not a comfortable area for him, so I
will deal with it comprehensively. I am saying
just transition to Norway for me.
To the extent that a medical need has arisen based on which a request is made, should we wait for 3 hours to transport the medicine from a point where it is, or we should spend 15 minutes by way of transporting it through drone? Why do we do this to ourselves? And that's an opposition that is proffering an alternative and asking us to put our destiny in their hands. This hula baloo about drone, if there's no medical facility at a particular location, would there be a request? Can you sit in your home and request for blood to be sent to you? Can you? It can only be a medical facility that wants a particular medicine that would request. The only means of transporting it today would be through transportation, which would take 3-4 hours. Should we wait? If it was your father, will you say we should wait? When there's technology available that can make that medicine that is urgently needed available in 20 minutes. You say we should ride with motorbike for 6 hours before we deliver it. What kind of joke are we engaged in as a nation? What joke is this?
But you see,
I agree.
I do understand.
People need clinics, and government should
even the
provide
places
clinics.
where we can access CRA, we're not having the facilities to access. That's the.
I don't have that. That's why I said there's not
the argument is.
So at what point?
Fix first things first.
Look, fix what first?
Okay. Now talk about
government
Oslo.
By all means should fix all the issues.
Talk about Oslo.
Talk
about Oslo.
That's why he has spent all the time on Oslo.
What are the issues?
On drones.
Government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and of course Ministry of Finance, presented a budget to the Parliament of Ghana. An estimate for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had been discussed at the committee, and a report submitted to Parliament for debate and approval. Now, in the course of the deliberations at the committee, some $50 million that government of Ghana had contracted in 2015, it came up that that facility had not been disbursed entirely. So the ministry submitted a report on why that disbursement have delayed and what it is that going forward they intend to disburse those funds for. Completely two different reports. But of course, in the presentation of the estimates, the committee indicated in its report that part of their deliberations, they got to know, or the ministry informed them that some 50 million that Parliament had approved in the past had not been fully disbursed, and the reasons were stated in there, and that going forward, the ministry intends to deploy those funds. This Oslo building is not part of the 2019 budget estimate that was on the floor for approval. It's not. And I dare anybody to show me in the 2019 budget estimates where Oslo building has been proposed in there. And you know why it won't be in the 2019 estimate? Because the facility had already been procured, sitting at the bank, awaiting disbursements. We are delayed.
Through the facility.
Absolutely. So there's absolutely no basis for it to find its way.
And the facility is coming from which country is that? Is it
it's SGSSB.
Okay.
Okay.
That's 50 million, right?
Yes, $50 million. Now, in the course of the debate on the floor, Mr. Okudzeto then raises an issue that the approval would give the ministry a carte blanche to go out there and spend up to 16 million or so on a property that they intend to buy. Minister says no. There is no approval before this parliament for the acquisition of a building. Yes, in our plan, we have opened a mission in Oslo, and they construe opening of a mission to mean acquisition of property.
But the committee had documents indicating that the ministry...
I have a copy of the document.
And the ministry had interest in a particular structure.
There's nobody who is denying that. Okay. Giving you the proper context.
And
okay.
And wait. And that document relatedly to a certain structure was going to be procured through that facility, the 50 million facility.
Yes.
Bonus. Okay. So government has an intention to do that. To have a chancery.
Who has denied that?
Okay.
In all the deliberations, who has denied that we, of course, if we open a mission, which is a diplomatic act.
But the president's comments on it, it's as if that government didn't have any intention to procure that.
The mischief. Wait, Roland,
subsequently
I listen to the president.
And subsequently concluding that no money has been paid.
Absolutely.
And so
because you see, wait.
But if government had intended to buy something, and apparently...
Is intention actual?
Well, you are the lawyer.
No, you answer it.
You are the lawyer. If you intend to murder somebody and the person didn't die, you'll still be jailed,
but
I think.
I don't have a problem because...
You don't have a problem with that one.
Wait. You see, Roland...
will I ever come in again?
Oh, you will come in. I understand this is an extended program. No? That was what I was told yesterday. It's important that when you guys...
Oh, who?
The NDC are going out throwing propagandist mischief.
Thank you.
The people of Ghana are made to understand the issues.
So you think the president was right in making those conclusions?
Because there's been no purchase.
So there's no matter.
So to suggest.
So there's no matter.
Listen.
There's no purchase, so there's no matter. There was an intention.
Roland, please. It's important. If this was a private encounter between you and I, no holds barred, fine. But we are informing people with truth and falsehood. No purchase has been made. no document was before Parliament seeking approval to pay $16 million for any property. But the mischief makers went to town to say that they have some documentation suggesting that the offer that had been made to Ghana.
The documentation was brought by Ministry of Foreign Affairs to the committee.
Which document? The Ministry of Foreign Affairs submitted a report on the undisbursed 50 million. What are we talking about?
Okay.
This so-called paperwork that they say they have gathered, investigations. The only allegation in there is that somebody bought a building for 3 million last year. Why are they selling it to you, or why have you bought for 12 million? The minister says, I haven't bought anything. And that's a fact. Somebody has made an offer because we have commenced the process of acquiring the property to house our mission.
All right.
Okay? They have made an offer. We haven't accepted.
Let your colleague come in.
Yet, you guys are going out there throwing all sorts of dust in the eyes of the public that government has expended $12 million to buy a property that the owner acquired for $3.5 million.
They have not said that.
Can you imagine?
They have not said
that.
that.
That is exactly what they have said.
Well, Roland, you see.
Okay, please.
Wait, please.
On the
let's take it from there. Let's
yes,
not go.
On the last discussion of drones, all I sought to say was that anyone who knows about the purchase of a needless $12 million drones, as the president demonstrated, should not show the level of ignorance the president displayed about the medical center and its impact on health. If you claim you care about the improvement of health in this country so much so that you think the introduction of drones will improve the health delivery system, you should not show that level of ignorance that the president displayed in relation to the medical facility that got bent. I mean, the medical stores that got bent. Because it is key, even to the success of a drone, operation in the country. If you do not have a facility to even keep your drugs, how will you even get the drones to fly those drugs? So that's why I'm saying that it's scary. All the president seems to care about is the contract of $12 million. Buy
but
drones.
this one is not the store. It's not the warehouse, right? We're talking about an investigation. Okay.
Now.
Create your own distortions.
Are you already wrapping me up, Roland?
No.
Are you already wrapping me up?
No.
Okay. I needed to understand that. Now, this issue of, Oslo, Roland, is yet another corruption around the neck of the president.
Well, the president said to you,
and how he and
the president said you're making mincemeat out of nothing. You're making a meal out of
if you look at how he addressed the issue of corruption when he met the press again, Roland, it is scary for this country that we were convinced, at least the majority of the people of Ghana were convinced, that this was an anti-corruption man. Look, he says that we are all just making noise and creating issues that don't exist. And so he doesn't even want to waste his time looking at those issues. So he doesn't care about crude evaporating from the tanks of, Bust. He doesn't care. All he knows about is that bears can fly, but crude doesn't evaporate.
And buses
yet.
Buses can
I mean, he knows about bears flying, but he doesn't know about crude evaporating.
He knows about
doesn't
oil
care.
base that can be paid.
He doesn't care about the premix mess and how the minister and family are in charge of that place. All he cares about is that fishermen are difficult and it is difficult to get them to change their ways. He doesn't care. All he cares about is, like it was revealed again in Parliament, and I'm sure he will clear that also, that $12 million worth of fertilizer that was imported.
There they go again.
you know, cannot be accounted for.
There they go again.
He doesn't care. I mean, he will clear that also.
Palpable misrepresentation.
Look, on the
of the
Oslo
facts.
matter. On the Oslo
You're
matter.
heckling him.
He
Never
said,
heckled.
my
You
said-
colleague,
you sat here and saw
my
him do the
colleague,
same.
my colleague
he never
made
heckled.
a number of presentations that are palpable falsehoods.
Like what?
He says Oslo, the matter of Oslo was not before
He says an agreement.
Parliament.
Says an
He says that he's talking about the purchase, the intention to purchase. Look, a budget is a plan,
I
right?
said the budget estimates on the floor for debate that we were seeking approval for
okay.
did not include Oslo.
Okay,
You've made
I'll
your
grant you
fact.
that. I'll grant you
You've
that.
made your
That's a
I'll grant
fact.
you that. The fact, however, and I'll point to a number of documents, is that it was part of the budget estimates. A budget is a plan. It's a projection of what you intend to do in the ensuing year, right?
By way of expenditure.
So, in paragraph 419 of the budget,
419.
it's an interesting number, isn't it? 419 of the budget. You have it stated clearly that Ghana has opened a mission in Oslo. That's one.
You see,
That's, please, don't do that. That's one. I said I'll point to a number
these
of
guys
issues.
call the president
That they
ignorant.
have opened one.
You call the president ignorant.
One-
if they say they've opened a mission,
one-
what does it mean? What does it mean to say you've
You're
opened a
heckling
mission?
him. It's not fair.
Paragraph 419, Ghana has opened a mission in Oslo. In the committee report, I think it is paragraph 8.4 or so. Again, the committee reported that in the ensuing year, government will be renovating and opening new missions in 33 countries.
Including.
They did not do a breakdown. That was a smart thing. That's why they say Oslo is not before the committee. But the committee report said Ghana will renovate and open new missions in 33 countries. But the meat of this is in the presentation of the minister when she rose to move the motion for adoption of the budget, and it's in the Hansard. In telling us some of the 33 countries, she mentioned Oslo in Norway twice. So you are right, including Oslo, Norway, because the minister revealed or confirmed that it was part of it. Again, at the committee, a report of intended disbursement of the $50 million facility was presented as part of the estimates of the ministry for 2019. So why do you say it wasn't part of the estimates? A report of intended disbursement of the $50 million was part of the report that the ministry presented during discussions of the estimates of the ministry.
Not ask before he put the question.
Do you understand?
And then I want him to answer this candidly for the people can hear.
My brother,
did the speaker not ask?
Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this.
Is Oslo part of the estimates before he put the question?
Don't do this. Don't do
did
this.
Did Mr. Speaker not
but
ask
that
that
was for
question?
good reason because the committee decided not to ask.
I'm asking, did Mr. Speaker not ask that question?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker did that. We
And
all
what
watched
was
it on TV.
And Speaker is God, right?
But it's also because the
doing?
committee decided to leave Oslo out because they had concern. They had written to the minister.
Don't do this.
I think we've been following the issue. Yeah.
Exactly. After this brouhaha, and note something. After this brouhaha, you realize that they decided to step it down in agreement with the ranking member and the chairman of the committee.
Because
so if the approval does not, if the approval does not include Oslo, it doesn't mean the intention was not there. You are only sorry you got caught. And this is in line with what has been happening.
What do you make of the president's comment
when we caught them when we caught them about the Ministry of Special Initiative budget, it was a mistake.
You mean the website?
The website. It was a mistake.
You caught them. They said it was a mistake.
Then, Roland, I want to continue from where I left off before the rude interjection. The report to the committee indicating intended disbursements of the $50 million was presented by the ministry. And in that report, it was clearly stated that $16 million will be released to create an embassy or a chancery in Oslo. So what are we talking about? Then again, Roland, there is an agreement in which the offer was made to the ministry, and the ministry in response asked for modifications to the building. So clearly, no one in the minority have said that government has purchased a chancery and a residence. All we have been saying is that government intends to purchase, and we think it is bad. That's all we have been saying, that the agreement is bad. We have never said they have purchased. We have all the evidence showing that the intention to purchase is there, like the agreement that asks for modifications, including a kitchen in the basement. We have all these things. And then they tell you that, hey, we haven't done anything. Nothing has been lost. So what are you talking about? Then bring back Boakye Jacko.
Why?
On their marriage deal, what did we lose? What did we lose on their marriage renegotiation?
Well, nothing. We reneged, yes.
What did we lose? But there was agreement that if that agreement or renegotiated agreement was allowed to pass, Ghana would have lost something. That is why he was sacked.
So you're saying they should sack
So
the
if
foreign
you are
minister?
saying...
Are you saying they should sack the foreign minister?
No, I am saying if the argument is that in the case of Norway and Oslo, nothing has happened, even though the intention was there, then they were unfair to Boakye Jacko. They must bring him back. Unless, of course, you have different laws for some people in the MPP.
Are you?
It is simply bizarre.
That they treat people.
That is what it seems.
Are you the one?
Because Ghana didn't lose anything yet. When Boakye Jacko,
so are you saying
according
the
to them,
should be made to resign or so? I don't understand.
You see, I want them to first of all even admit that this can be likened to Ameri, the renegotiated Ameri deal.
The said no payment has been made.
I am saying that in the case of the renegotiated Ameri, no payment had been made. No agreement had been reached. But Boakye Jacko was sacked unfairly. If this is their argument in the case of Oslo and Norway.
So I'm saying that, are you saying that...
It's ridiculous.
Then the foreign minister is being treated fairly?
So
unfairly.
If you are going to use the standard that was used to sack Boakye Jacko, I don't think the foreign minister should spend a day in office. Unless there are different rules applied to different people in the MPP. So you're saying that
the president needs to sack the foreign minister for
But the president has already told us, as usual, that nothing has happened. He has already cleared the people like he has always done. I mean, an anti-corruption Nana Akufo-Addo clearing people like there's no tomorrow.
What do you mean by clearing?
I mean, anytime...
to clarify. To say that your evidence that you tend to bring forward...
I've already given you...
He cannot jump on every piece of evidence, and he used the word prima facie, because you need to raise enough evidence that will be admissible in court. Or, sir, is that you are the lawyer?
And he has all the powers of state to do that.
But
he is now saying you and I must bring him the evidence. And so when we make allegations, it is not enough. Unlike the previous president that he criticized, who acted on allegations, took action. Even if you disagreed with President Mohammed's action, if you thought some of the things were too little and he could have done more, one thing you can't take away from him is that he made the effort. For example, when the allegations of bus branding came, he did not say my minister is above it. He set up a committee to investigate it, agreed with some of the issues that were raised in that allegation, caused a refund to be made. The minister was sacked. If you talk about Jida and others, when it came up, he did not say my minister is above it. My government won't waste our time on it. A committee was set up. Some retrievals were made. Some heads rolled. That is the difference between that president that Nana Akufo-Addo thought was doing so little in fighting corruption and what he is doing today.
Okay.
Very shameful, very embarrassing.
The concern that has been raised is each time the president seems to comment on concerns or perceived corruption or allegations against some of his appointees, some of those cases that he comments on, it seems to indicate that it brings some level of finality to a matter which otherwise could have further been investigated one way or the other.
You see, what should form the basis of any investigation?
You are the lawyer, you tell me.
You use the word prima facie.
I'm saying he used it, so
No,
I'm quoting
so,
from the
yeah,
president.
fantastic. So if there's no prima facie basis, why would anybody proceed to conduct an investigation?
Is the
And
president
the
who is
often cited example is the cash for seat, that the president acted as a clearinghouse and cleared the Minister of Trade. Roland,
It's not the only one.
Parliament set up a committee at their instance to conduct an investigation. When all the facts, when all the evidence was put before the committee, and the committee was writing its report, what happened? They chickened out. Do you remember? They chickened out completely. So we wasted public funds to recall Parliament at a time that the allegation was made on the floor of the House, when a question or a request could have been made for a committee to be set up. They did not. It was in December. Just around this time, they waited for us to go on recess. They filed an application to the Speaker to recall the House. The Speaker of Parliament recalled the House, came, agreed to their motion, set up a committee. The committee held public sittings, and when it came to the writing of the report, they chickened out.
Did we?
Fact.
I don't know what
You
call
want to
facts.
put together. We live in
You
this country.
amaze me.
You and I are members of
You
Parliament.
amaze me with the things you call fact.
Fact. Dr. Ayini ran away. They called him on several occasions. He did not respond to his phone call. Put together some shambolic minority report unknown to the rules of Parliament. They were very much aware that there's nothing like minority report. Yet that's what they did.
because he had some disagreements of the committee.
But if you have disagreements, it's incorporated in the report.
Because he felt that the...
I'm telling you on authority,
what if the
he
partisan
did not
MPP?
even participate in the deliberations.
What if
Okay.
the
You've made
partisan
your point.
MPP
Now,
rejects
wait.
your report?
It's important. Look,
Please
Mr.
continue on this one.
Lanchaman's issue. What was
Oh,
it?
you're going on the matters
I
now.
am.
Oh, no. We
No,
don't have
that
the
is,
time for it.
well,
Yeah,
if you're
well.
closing, then you're closing.
No, we're not closing.
But if you are bringing another subject, I will deal with this first.
No problem.
It's important.
It's a related issue.
Very
So
well.
We'll play this in set and you get back to it.
There has been an exponential increase in price. Okay. Now, it is true that the matter has been discussed extensively in the Norwegian media, and then they had come to a conclusion that it was unethical. And I have that documentation and the sites where this discussion, and I've discussed with the ranking as well at that level. So that conclusion had been
By the
had been
Norwegian
reached
media.
already. I mean, on our parts as the leaders of the committee, we have
You've reached a
that
conclusion that the deal was unethical.
No, I mean from these sites,
Okay.
from the Norwegian.
That the claim, the Norwegian media had concluded that it's unethical.
So it was all part of the motivations why we've written to the ministry
Yeah.
to have a further discussion on the matter. So all put in context. But you see, interestingly, one of the things we were very much interested in was evaluation report. Today I got hold of that report, and the quotations in this report is not different from the quotations that were given to us by the ministry. So on the face value of it, I can conclude that nobody has done anything wrong. But we are saying that we as a country, we are looking at our interests. We are looking for value for money. Are we getting value for money?
Are we?
Especially,
Are we?
No, I mean, to this end, I don't think that we are. And I think that is why I wrote, otherwise I wouldn't have written that letter. Okay.
Why is this young man wasting everybody's time?
He's in a rush.
I mean, he's wasting everybody's time. And we all get worried, what is happening to us? We are purchasing a property. I'm very disappointed in him.
No purchasing, we bought.
That we've even bought. Now, I'm wondering how we are going to work together as a committee. No, because, leader, with the greatest respect, if there's an internal letter and you leak this internal letter on a social media, it's very unfortunate. Anyway, we'll try and manage him.
Okay.
At
the committee level, no, he was
okay.
At the committee level, if you have a chairman of a committee and then a ranking was supposed to cooperate on many other matters, and relatedly, you get to find that in the initial discussions of the subject, they seem to agree that perhaps Ghana needed better value for our intended actions to purchase a chancery or set up a chancery, and we had to do the purchases. How do we make sure two leaders or two sides cooperate on the committee?
Well, I'm sure that I mean, they are matured people. The rules are clear, and so in the heat of the moment, there will be some disagreements, but I don't have any doubt that they can work as a committee.
Obviously, you could say that's the heat of a moment. The press conference that was organized by the chairman of the committee.
You see,
heat of the moment press conference.
Roland, when Parliament was suspended on the day, I went to my very good friend Sami Akufo-Addo, because, of course, when he was arguing on the floor, well surprised. And so I went to him. He showed me a series of documents. And I was concerned. Because to suggest that Ghana had bought a building for 12 million.
Bought or intends to buy?
So that's the suggestion. That's the clear suggestion that he made, that we have concluded a sale and we're going to pay $12 million for a property in Oslo. The first question that came to my mind was whether we as a country, in our middle income country, we are not a rich country, whether we need a $12 million
even in your
property.
Mind?
Yes.
Even in your mind?
Yes.
You were worried about the cost?
Yes. Not that the cost was over bloated, no. But whether we should buy that expensive property for our mission.
So even you don't think 12.5 should be used for
listen to me.
I'm listening to you.
Yes. I know that several factors go into the choice of locations and communities to use as residences and chancery for our representatives that we send out. Of course, if you go to UK, all the other places, they are in pretty luxurious communities, and the value of properties there potentially would exceed £20 million. But having listened to the minister, because if you recall, the tape that came out that was alleged that the minister had attacked Sam George, if you heard her clearly, but there's nothing before you for approval. The minister, in his engagement with Sam Akufo-Addo, asked that question.
Did not say on the floor that the government
says that the estimates constituted an approval to purchase that property. And the minister was categorical. There's nothing before you for approval. So, having evaluated the commentary subsequently between what the minister had said and what Sami had said,
And you are concluding that he said
obviously was mischievous. Because why would Ghana go to the expense of buying a $12 million property for a mission? It's a legitimate question to ask.
So now the two leaders, how can they
But
work?
to suggest that some fraud has been occasioned is where the mischief arises. Posing a question that, look, Madam Minister, a total GDP of so much, we have issues in our country. Yes, by all means, let's open missions. But can't we look for accommodation in a relatively lower priced community than 12 million?
You are saying that's what he should have said.
It's a legitimate question, and I will not debate anybody who asks that question.
So I'm asking,
But
so if
see,
in your mind,
listen,
12.5 was huge.
It's expensive for a country like Ghana.
Very well.
Wait, please.
How would the two
You
cooperate?
listened to Suhini here. Corrupt was the tag. And the basis of the allegation of corruption was that the seller acquired the property a year and a half or 2 years ago for less. And I asked myself, so the fact that I buy a property for $2 million and I put in some money to renovate, whatever, and put it on the market based on present day values, and it comes up to 10 million. Who has perpetrated the fraud? For Mr. Okudzeto to go out there purely on account of political mischief to suggest that the minister is engaged in fraud, that is my issue.
He has not said the minister.
That's what didn't you hear him use the word corrupt here? What's corruption? Is it not fraudulent transaction?
You see, Roland.
You see, no, I haven't finished.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I haven't finished.
Sorry, please finish. Oh.
You asked a
I
specific
thought you
question
were the host.
relating to
Please finish.
relating to
I'm the host.
the two of them
So
cooperating.
if you
Yes,
let
yes.
us have our way, I
And
will also
you see-
finish when I get the chance.
You see, I have read the parliamentary service letter on social media. Legitimate questions. That minister, this report that you submitted, that the intended
No, we know
disbursement of the 15
that's public. Let's talk about the cooperate. How do you think they can both cooperate?
Oh, well, I think that, as I said initially, in the heat of the moment, you know, comments will be made. But subsequently, I guess that...
They'll have no option.
yeah, they will have no option.
see-
Unless, of course, there's a reconstitution of the committee. I don't think...
I'm sorry. I
this should be
give
basis
you
for
only 4 minutes.
reconstituting the committee.
You don't mean it.
I mean it. 5 minutes. All right.
Roland.
So let's go.
And have an hour.
Oh no. That's all right.
It's
Well, I
nothing
don't
new.
even know where to start from. I think that, first of all,
The cooperation
the
committee.
chairman of the committee, Anadompre, has disappointed me greatly. Listening to him yesterday, I was shocked at the tempo of his voice and the disrespectful reference to Honorable Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, who, by the way, is his mate, schoolmate, and, you know, he himself have told us many times how they work together on the committee as a young man. I'm not saying Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa is not a young man, but I'm talking about the disrespectful way in which that phrase was used. I was scandalized. I mean, I was with him on the PM Express, and you can clearly see the contradiction between the position he had on that show and the, you know, intransigence that he displays at the press conference. Has he been whipped in line to toe a certain position that is, you know, not in the interest of the country? Because clearly, he was working together with...
Who whip him in line?
Well, I can't answer that.
But
but you are alleging
that's
that's
You can't answer, but
I
you can
asked a
allege.
question. I didn't allege. I said, has he been whipped in line?
you're wondering.
You know, sometimes let's listen to each other well. You see, the point is that he himself has told the media on many platforms that when this issue started, his attention was drawn to it by the ranking member, and collaboratively, they tried to find the answers, and the answers were not forthcoming. And he shared in the concerns of the ranking member, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. So as to turn around and poo-poo those concerns and make those concerns seem irrelevant at a press conference organized by your party leadership, it's an indictment on your integrity.
You think he's under
as
pressure?
chairman.
You're wondering.
Obviously. It's an indictment on his integrity.
You think he's under pressure?
You know, I mean, if you look at it, obviously, I mean, it is fair for one to assume so. My brother here talks about acquiring a property, renovating it, and putting it on the market for $12 million. First of all, that is not what happened. We know that the building is currently being renovated.
Do you know
we have actually shared the video.
Do you know who is paying for that renovation?
Of the people who are engaged in the renovation.
Do you know who is paying for that renovation?
And in that video, Roland, the interactions those who recorded the video had with the workers are under the impression, and it's in the video, that they are working for the government of Ghana.
No, they said they are well.
They are working for a mission that is meant to be used by the government of Ghana. It is in that video that we shared. Then he talks about, again, that reference to the fiction that they have, that Oslo, Norway was not before Parliament. Roland, if one even decides to grant them that, can my brother here, who is a lawyer, disagree with the fact that $50 million that was acquired from Societe Generale and its disbursement was before the committee or not? The disbursement of $50 million, the disbursement of $50 million was before the committee. And this $50 million was a loan that the government of Ghana took in 2016. And that disbursement was before the committee. Now, what are the components of that disbursement? Clearly, as one of the components is the disbursement to Norway, Oslo, which is 16 million. So how can you accept that the disbursement of $50 million is before the committee, which includes a share to Oslo, but Oslo is not part of the agreement?
And as part of the document,
don't do this.
Well, and as part of the
you have
document,
already been
no. And as part of the document that has been shared by the Honourable Member of Parliament for
North
there are concerns about inflated costs, in relation to some of the quotations.
Yes, the legal fees and all those things.
In relation to also actions and activities per what happens per market rates in Norway, per some of the quotations.
Right, exactly.
And that drew the attention of the... it initially used to be the chairman and the ranking. Now it's only the ranking. So
yeah, I mean, so you see, they all agreed that these issues needed to be resolved. So for the chairman to make that,
but the president said there's no intention, so
degrees,
that's okay.
No, again, I'm happy you have brought up the intention, because it gives me the opportunity to repeat my position that if the intention to defraud, which has been revealed by the vigilant minority, is not a crime, then Boakye Ajaku was unfairly treated, because his was also an intention, which again was revealed by the vigilant minority, which cost him his job. It was an intention.
All right. Thank you.
So I beg you, I think that it is important that we don't reduce our politics to the level where it is played as if we are mere supporters of football clubs, and whether our club wins or loses is all we are concerned about.
Which team do you
This
support?
is about lives. This is about the hard-earned taxes of people that they don't even have. Yet,
are mandated by law to pay. This is about businesses, and this is about the future of our children. This is about the future of this country. And so it is important that we are fair to the facts and we demand more of people who are in authority. And when they, try to obfuscate the issues, we point it out to them that we know what they are doing. And I think that this government has been a total embarrassment to those who supported them before the 2016 general elections.
You are not part of the new regions being demarcated, right? Not at all. It's
Northern
the
region is part.
Northern region, yes, but I mean your constituency is not perfect. Okay, so 27th of December, we're going to have the referendum in the proposed areas where 6 new regions will be created, and in those new areas, we're going to have 48 constituencies involved in this referendum. Well, we know Western region is also part, and second day is in the Western region, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to send your people to go and monitor as well?
Well, I'm going to go there personally to go and campaign for a yes, because I think that
it's part of the overall
absolutely we
promises that way.
As a party initially promised one, but subsequently various petitions have led to the creation of more than one region that is proposed, and so. I did national service in Sihioso, which is in the Western North, right after A-level at 17, 18 years. So I know that terrain pretty well. And getting there, of course, now the roads have improved somewhat, was a tough challenge. And so the clamor for the creation of a region has been ongoing for a very long time. And since
this
the
one
process
it's not a discussion. So
yes.
I just mentioned.
So yes, I'm going to go there. I was discussing with my colleague Kobe Asare-Ochedako yesterday about
Kobe Mensah.
Yeah, Kobe Ochedako Mensah. As to when we can find space within the Christmas period to go there at least for a day to go and lend support to the process and come back to continue with our.
Will you also try to? Is the party intending to?
Yes, I think that generally it's a party position. In fact, the NDC promised to create more regions than the NPP did, but in line with their government as you go policy, they have increased the number whilst in government. Personally, I am not too sure if the intention for this creation will be speedily realized as expected by the people in these areas. I mean, we have had previous demarcations of areas like districts and new regions that have not really, led to much transformations in these areas, even though those were the expectations when these demarcations were done. But people are emotionally attached to this creation. And the two parties agree on the need to create, more regions. Even though, like I have said, personally, I don't think that these demarcations lead to any significant transformations in the areas. But just quickly on a related issue, especially from the Volta region, related to the conduct of some of the security officers in relation to this matter. First, you heard some people being arrested for trying to juju the president and the Ashanti Hini in the Volta region. I wonder under what law. And just yesterday, we are hearing that they arrested another gentleman for campaigning against a no vote. I mean, how? What is happening in this country? Why will anybody be denied the right to campaign for a position that he believes in? Is that the rule of law, that we were promised in this country? I think that this attitude of the police.
You can make a comment without necessarily
this attitude of the police. I'm not politicizing it.
Because this attitude would condemn
this attitude.
If it was the case.
Roland, this attitude of the police.
But to suggest that rule of law that was promised us means that it is an executive act to deprive people from campaigning for a no vote.
To the CID director's conduct when he was caught on when she was caught on video
telling us the purpose of her job to protect
is a member of parliament for
the
Tamale
police
North.
institution should not be reduced
also been
to
in
that
the studio
partisan level.
alongside
It shouldn't.
Andrew Ejapamesa,
It shouldn't be reduced to that partisan level.
Let's move
We can do.